Hey everyone, welcome back. Just doing this quick video because my research never ends, guys. Of course, I'm the little engine that could. But in 1938 is a pivotal year, right? I mean, call me weird, whatever. But when people are researching the law, a lot of people have been put onto this book. I'm sure it's no secret. This book has become very popular. And it will tell you in this book, the UCC Connection, how to free yourself from legal tyranny. It goes into, guys, how in 1938 was a pivotal year. That's when the courts changed the whole legal system. You know, it's like they want to keep it hush-hush. But basically they merged equity and the common law together. So there's many facets. I had to spend at least 3 hours studying, probably more today. I know in between stuff I really get in the zone, guys. My notes are pretty intense, but I start to see these correlations, right? And then you got this year, 1938. It's like that's when the Martians came, guys. Because on Alpha 7, I should put this on Alpha 7, because I put up the movie Invaders from Mars, you know. Because you know how we're in the movie They Live. I mean, it's really not hard to tell, right? Movie They Live. Because you know, there's a lot of amazing people, too, who talk about the Anunnaki and all this stuff, right? And the different realms. Where, you know, when people talk about this plane, it's just one of many planes. There's other realms, and we have invaders from other realms who don't like to stay where they are, right? They come and they torment the shit out of us, but they try to say this was a joke. Let me tell you, either you really can't believe anything, right? Which is, you know, what it is now, but like something to this magnitude, right? That they leaked out some type of broadcast, right? On October. And this was performed. They tried to say it was a performance piece. Yeah, okay, I guess everything they do is a damn performance piece. But how about if this was real, guys? You know, because so much changed in 1938 and on, you know. It seems like America just was going on a trajectory. It's like, what else would explain it but Martians, right? These creatures of the night. But I just find it fascinating because, you know, they lie so much in the media now. What if, when they say, haha, we're just kidding, it really did happen like that, and then they were made to like say it was a joke. You know how it is now in Hollywood, when they come out and they tell the truth and then all of a sudden they retract what they said, and they do these like apologetic broadcasts. Yeah, because they got mind control. That's like MK Ultra. They got their brains scrambled, or they got intimidated. It's like the case of the body snatchers, or it's not even freaking them anymore, get it? I mean, the shit is deep, but I'm just saying that book talks about how the courts, and when we go into the law, it's funny because when I put that damn movie, so many people watched it, and they even said, when I was a child, I was so scared. Like, they didn't even realize how scary it is. I'm like, yeah, because it was probably real, no kidding. So they did this broadcast on October 30th, 1938, right? Columbia, of course, like DC. That's where they're operating, probably. Radio network. The episode is famous for causing panic among its listening audience, though the scale of panic is disputed. So it was narrated by Orson Welles. I'm pretty sure people have heard that name before, and it was at Columbia Broadcasting Building, 485 Madison Avenue, New York. And this happened. I just find it fascinating. They were talking about the War of the Worlds, you know? What does it do when you play that? Does it do anything?
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
So you can listen to it there. Oh my. So right here it goes, the first few bulletins interrupt a program of live music and are relatively calm reports of unusual explosions on Mars, followed by a seemingly unrelated report of an object falling on a farm in Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Of course, where else? That explains everything on the East Coast, guys. The crisis escalates. Oh my. I mean, I'm trying to use humor, but I mean, imagine. I feel like this is what happened. Because Mars, the so-called planet or the realm, is really close to Earth. The crisis escalates dramatically when a correspondent reporting live from Grover's Mill describes creatures emerging from an alien craft, which are incinerating police and onlookers with a heat ray, oh my, until his audio feed abruptly goes dead. This is followed by a rapid series of news updates detailing the beginning of a devastating alien invasion and the military's futile efforts to stop it. The first portion of the episode climaxes with another live report from the rooftop of a Manhattan radio station. The correspondent describes crowds fleeing, look at that, clouds of poison smoke, oh, like the chemtrails are doing now, right? By giant Martian war machines, look at that, and dropping like flies as the gas approaches his location. Eventually he coughs and falls silent, and a lone ham radio operator asks, "Is there anyone on the air? Isn't there anyone?" With no response. The program takes its first break 30 minutes after Wells's introduction. The second half of the show shifts to a conventional radio drama format that follows a survivor, played by Wells, dealing with the aftermath of the invasion and the ongoing Martian occupation of Earth. The final segment lasts for about 16 minutes, and like the original novel, concludes with the revelation that the Martians have been defeated by microbes rather than by humans. Yeah, that's what they say, right? The broadcast ends with a brief out-of-character announcement, look at that, by Wells, in which he compares the show to dressing up in a sheet and jumping out of a bush and saying boo. Maybe his body was snatched. Wells's War of the Worlds broadcast has become famous for convincing some of its listeners that a Martian invasion was actually taking place due to the breaking news style of storytelling employed in the first half of the show. The illusion of realism was supported by the Mercury Theater on the air's lack of commercial interruptions, which meant that the first break in the drama came after all of the alarming news reports had taken place. Popular legend holds that some of the radio audience may have been listening to The Chase in Sanborn Hour with Edgar Bergen and tuned into the War of the Worlds during a musical interlude, thereby missing the clear indication that the show was a work of science fiction. Contemporary research suggests that this happened only in rare circumstances. So, I mean, obviously, they would take punitive action if it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't they if it was just a joke? That's huge, right? Isn't that super huge, guys? Because, oh, he has the original novel to go with it. Perfect. Because if you're inside a movie theater, guys, right, and you shout out the term fire and there's no fire, that can cause a stampede and people to be crushed, right? That can cause undue panic. So I would think, yeah, if it was bullshit, right? And the book itself is probably going to be a great read. Now I want to go read the damn book, guys, because I put this movie, you can come see it. They're probably showing what happened, right? Because you don't think that we're living with a bunch of Martians right now. You know, hell is empty and all the devils are here. William Shakespeare even said that. And they all do the same symbolism. I've showed this picture before. How they're all about the same junk, you know. They'll smile at your face, but they have the same Naga energy, Anunnaki bullshit energy. Look at Cher trying to be Shiva down there. Look at that. Look at this junk. And talk about hive mind, right? Yeah, they're so original, guys, that they all do the same things all the time. But that makes them original. Right. Even your beloved MJ, I know. People, they can't get over their false idols, you know? It's right here, guys. It's Lucifer. Right here. You see there? You see who makes it all happen? And you see what they do? Yeah, birds of a feather flock together. It don't matter. Look at Obama at the wall, kissing that stupid ass wall. Look at Hillary over here. Look at the fake Jews over here. You think these are God's people right here? Yeah. Lucifer's people. Duh. Death and destruction. This is madness. This is the madness we're living in. You don't think Martians are here right the fuck now? Look at all this shit the Bush family did and the Clinton family. It makes me sick. If you go to, just in case I put this on another forum, I put movies sometimes. I know, it's all you can hear. Look at the state of the world that we're dealing with right now. Isn't this terrible? Terrible. I put movies sometimes, you know, just to show what it is. I mean, look at some of the topics of my video. Who else but Martians, right, would want our plasma? Like, can we wake the hell up? This is a video I put out screaming about that. They opened one in the town that I reside near, and I was just so disgusted. Well, who else but nasty invaders from Mars? So this is from 1953, too. So plenty of time. Plenty of time. This is, so if you guys want a full movie, Invaders from Mars, 1953, free movie explaining our reality. So true, still true. That's why so many people resonated with this movie. I mean, you should see the comment section. So many people. I mean, that tells you everything for an old movie, guys. For an old movie, this actually scared the shit out of people. Look, this movie creeped me out when I viewed it several times on Saturday television shows growing up in the early 60s, you know what I mean? And, yeah, really scary for people, you know, ushering fear into the lives of children. Why not? Because there was like a level of, they felt some type of, and they said the plot's very plausible. Of course it's very plausible, because this is what's happening to us. So if you want to watch that, if you're already on Alpha 7, you already know about that. Okay, the original novel goes into a conflict between mankind and an extraterrestrial race. Of course, look at this invasion. Oh, this is us, what we're going through. I can't, guys. Amazing stories. I love these old comics, guys. They tell you so much of what's going on. People think, oh, this ain't real. Just because you only have a limited vision. Okay, let's look at it this way. Light spectrum. Your eyes can only see so far into the light spectrum. Get it? Got it? Good. Some of these entities you can only pick up on like infrared or ultraviolet. You know what I'm trying to say? So when you really go into these, you know, long waves, short waves, the shorter waves are ultraviolet, more of the purple nanometers. Let me go back so you can see some of it. The point is, you're not going to see everything in the spectrum. You got your infrared rays, you got your microwaves, and you got your radio waves. Those are the longer ones, okay? And a lot of people say these shorter, crazy ones, this is what will really jam you up with the big C word. Ultraviolet, of course, they want to give you x-rays at every dentist and place you can think of. I do not advocate that at all. That's why I freaking avoid those places like the damn plague, because that is part of, you know, this choir right here. You know, they can do this, you don't think they can do worse and smile in your face? That's the whole point, guys, of this. Looking at things with your spiritual eyes, you know. Definitely, because a lot of people on the outside, they'll look one way. Even in this movement, you'd be surprised how many ghoulie ghouls are being smoked the hell out. But if you read the UCC connection, anyone who's like, oh my gosh, like what's happened to this country, and it is like a form of like an invasion, right? And just look around, it feels like it's really like that, you know? And so, when you think of 1938 and you see that movie, and you see, because I was going to read, I'll have to do this probably another time. I wanted to go into equity. This could be a video all in itself. The 20 maxims of equity. I'll do this in another vid. But, you know, people seeking remedy in these administrative courts, you know, it's nothing judicial about it, like to study the history and law, because then you understand what has transpired and what needs to be done to stay in honor. And one of the maxims is one who seeks equity must do equity. That's why we give out notices. That's why we file different affidavits and we rebut their presumptions. And so, because in 1938 they totally changed the court systems, and that's why people are using and citing the UCC, because UCC is mostly equity. So studying the maxims of equity is going to give you a lot of the remedies, because it's going to be a lot of common sense. Citing paperwork, if I help people with paperwork, or if they need extra assistance, then I always leave my you know, donation link and things like that. You can always reach out to me, email. If you want private tutoring and stuff like that, a lot of people are doing their own work and then helping others with that. I'm finding great success and being really diligent every day, and doing this for a few years. So when you study history, and even being a movie lover, right, the 20 maxims of equity will definitely go into that in a vid in itself. When you're a movie lover, even John Carpenter, wasn't he quoted saying, this wasn't just a movie, this was a documentary? What do you think? What do you think? Yeah. They've been here the whole time, so we're just smoking them out. I hear, that there's a huge turnover going on behind the scenes. Of course, that's what this whole, you know, lockdown has been about, really. And a lot of us are just smoking them out. And it's funny how they do, and this was all before the so-called moon landings. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. If you don't know the significance of the name Apollo in the Bible, they're angel of the bottomless pit. And those those Masons, guys, you can't, they love that 11, right? The pillars, it's like 1-1. Right? Masons really love that. So it talks about the plot. No one would have believed in the last years of the 19th century that this world was being watched keenly and closely by intelligences greater than man's, and yet as mortal as his own. Yet across the gulf of space, minds that are to our minds as ours are to those of the beasts that perish, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic, regarded this earth with envious eyes, and slowly and surely drew their plans against us. H.G. Wells, 1898. The War of the Worlds. So you think about World War I, World War II. What makes you think we're not in World War III right now? You do know Russia was involved in the first war in Germany, and like, look again. You know what I mean? You know, and Albert Pike was a high-ranking Mason in America, and was quoted as talking about the future 3 world wars. So all of this was already so-called predestined to happen. And so that's why if you don't look at it spiritually, you won't get it. The coming of the Martians. The narrative opens by stating that as humans on Earth busied themselves with their own endeavors during the mid-1890s, aliens on Mars began plotting an invasion of Earth because their own resources are dwindling. The narrator, who is unnamed throughout the novel, is invited to an astronomical observatory at Atar Shah, where explosions are seen on the surface of the planet Mars, creating much interest in the scientific community. Months later, a so-called meteor lands on Horshell Common near the narrator's home. Where's that? Where's that? In Surrey. I'd have to look that up. In Woking, Surrey. He is among the first to discover that the object is an artificial cylinder that opens, disgorging Martians who are big and grayish with oily brown skin, the size perhaps of a bear, each with 2 large, dark, colored eyes, and lipless V-shaped mouths which drip saliva and are surrounded by 2 Gorgon groups of tentacles. The narrator finds them at once vital, intense, inhuman, crippled, and monstrous. They emerge briefly but have difficulty in coping with the Earth's atmosphere and gravity, and so retreat rapidly into their cylinder. A human deputation, which includes the astronomer Ajali, approaches the cylinder with a white flag, but the Martians incinerate them and others nearby with a heat ray before beginning to assemble their machinery. Military forces arrive that night to surround the common, including Maxim guns. The population of Woking and the surrounding villages are reassured by the presence of the British Army. A tense day begins with much anticipation by the narrator of military action. Look at this, an army of Martian fighting machines destroying England. Look at this stuff. I know, it sounds so fantastical, but obviously when they're writing stuff, guys, if you don't think they got some type of inspiration somehow, you'd be mistaken, my friend, because you know what, a lot of these entities, they could just appear as regular to you and I, because our eyes are so limited, you know. It says, after heavy firing from the common and damage to the town from the heat ray which suddenly erupts in the late afternoon, the narrator takes his wife to safety in nearby Leatherhead, where his cousin lives. Using a rented 2-wheeled horse cart, he then returns to Woking to return the cart when in the early morning hours a violent thunderstorm erupts. On the road during the height of the storm, he has his first terrifying sight of a fast-moving Martian fighting machine. You know, it is kind of funny because you didn't see all these type of technologies, right, before a certain timeline, right? And then we went from a horse and buggy carriage society, right, for millennia. And then all of a sudden, we got all this technology. Makes you think where they got it from. Obviously, not hard to tell. Inside information. And if you think that mankind is the highest being on the totem pole, like that there are other creatures out there, then you are definitely more arrogant than you give, you know, the next person. Because come on now, People go missing all the time. We're being hunted out there, you don't think so? Why do people go missing in the national parks? How are all these things happening with all this so-called technology supposedly trackable, right? Get the fuck out of here. Excuse my language, but it has to be said. I know sometimes I have language, guys. Some people don't like it, but they'll watch a movie with it. A Martian fighting machine. Look at that. Look at these pictures. What is that, a ship? How do we know what's happening in these open oceans? We don't know. Look how much freaking stuff you can get into. Fatal transfusion. Oh, the Earth under the Martians. This is very, very interesting. Really goes into a lot of detail too. And the narrator, you know, suffers a breakdown, doesn't it? Don't half these people, after they see such things, how do you know when you're seeing somebody like babbling down the street out of their mind that they haven't seen something out of this world, really, you know what I mean? And I don't want to make this video long. I gotta go. It's almost 30 minutes, you know me. I can be chatting it up way too much, but just giving you an idea of what the hell we're dealing with, because this book goes into a lot about, you know, the very curious changes, because 1938, that shit keeps coming up as you're studying the law and the legal system. And it's not hard to tell why you see so many people falsely imprisoned, right? It's all like debtor, creditor type of talk, right? Because a lot of people, they represent themselves as the debtor when they really weren't the debtor in the first place, and don't realize the public side from the private side, right? The straw man, what's real, what's commercial, what's a legal person, you know, versus the living man and the living woman. And if this is new, this is a great book to get started. It's like $6, super affordable, less than you know, a fast food meal or whatever the hell people are throwing their money away on these days. But this will give you a lot of insight, because if you're like, how does all these things happen to people, all these foreclosures, all this, and you got Child Protective Services, you feel like you're a damn piece of property. Well, it won't be hard to tell once you see, you know, what happened in the system, right? And then you see, like, you know, stuff like this, War of the Worlds. Why would they even do that? Why the hell would they even do something like that and cause such fear in the public, right? If there wasn't something going on, you know, causing all this panic. Yeah, maybe it was a revelation of the method. They revealed a little bit of the truth, right? And then it became so sensational or whatever, and then they're like, oh, we gotta do damage control. No, it wasn't really like that. Meanwhile, they've been doing all this crazy crap behind the scenes this whole time, and you know, all the suppression that's been going on, all these, you know, you got taxes galore, you got inflation, you got people homeless, you got houses foreclosed, but yet everywhere you turn, they got plasma, places where they want your plasma, they want your blood, they want your sweat, they want your tears, they try to take your children. Don't you see what this is, you know? Of course, there's a level of freaking evil, definitely a level of evil. And, you know, you shouldn't be surprised that most of the people you see on TV, they're all part of the same sick family. A lot of them are related. A lot of them were mass made in like a clone lab somewhere. That's why they all look alike. You know what I mean? Because you come to find out, like, what's the odds, really, truly? Come on. It's like everything's all manipulated, that, you know, you're going to see one of these characters and then the whole family's in show business, or the whole family's doing the same thing, or they're related to this one and that one. Come on now, come on. And it always goes into people in military positions too a lot of the times. You'd be surprised, or politicians are related to these people. So yes, guys, definitely the War of the Worlds. Also World War I, II, and III. Well, welcome to World War III. That's where we're at right now. And it was also called the Great War. It was also called the Great War, World War I, and Russia was involved in that one as well. It was a lot of devastating things that happened They took down the monarchy. Look up the Bolshevik Revolution. They brought militant homosexuality, ravaged the country, brought, you know, socialism and all this stuff. And yeah, America is definitely, you know, also infiltrated by the same entities. So we are working every day to root out, you know, drain the swamp, so to speak. I did like that quote, you know. We do need to do that, okay? Because they're still here. And but they're being drained, guys, because I'm seeing them more and more drop off. And so there is some type of reset, like they're talking about, you know, on to one group of people it's going to seem like horrible, but it's actually going to be liberation, because we've been under bondage for many, many years, and most people don't know because they can't see past a certain spectrum. But you basically got to use your eyes, I mean your spiritual eyes, right? You got to use your spirit to look within and see, you know, you get that vibe from people. That's why I like dealing with vibes, because a lot of times you're dealing with people just like that. They'll definitely explain a lot. But I just wanted to put that up because people really seem to like this movie. Check it out if you haven't. But guys, this movie is definitely truth in plain sight. I pretty much believe this is what happened in the War of the Worlds, that broadcast. I don't think it was a joke at all. I think it was straight up real, and they just try to backtrack because their overlords told them to, or basically they jumped into their vessel and they weren't even the same beings anymore speaking. So definitely up to you to decide, but it shouldn't be hard to tell if you look around, right? Have a great day, guys. I shall talk to you soon.